Shri, Arun Jaitley.
So the Doha round almost stands stalemated. And in my view, sir, there are few basic reasons why this appears to be happening. So there are three changes which have taken place over the last 1 decade in the global trade negotiations. Initially, the trade negotiations were essentially driven by the developed world. Today, there is a change in balance of power. And today, the developing countries also, particularly after the formation of several pressure groups like G20, have also acquired a say in the functioning of the WTO and in the negotiations. So the balance of power itself has slightly altered. The second, sir, is a change in the global economy which has taken place, that people now, consumers world across, prefer to buy services and goods which are cheaper and of the best quality. And therefore the balance, instead of the developed world, with regard to services and with regard to goods, is now tilting in favor of low-cost economies, as a result of which we get some obvious advantages. The third, sir, there is a change in the agenda also. Initially, the agenda in relation to agriculture was market access, and today it's being counterbalanced by the whole suggestion that there can't be market access. Trade distortions in form of trade distorting subsidies is reduced, rationalized, and some of them even finally eliminated. Sir, Mr. N.K. Singh put a very relevant question with regard to the state of negotiations in the services sector. Now, this is one sector in which India is capable of providing the world with a very large number of low-cost services, both in the matter of movement of natural persons as also in matters relating to various other forms of services, including outsourcing, etc. Now, the service negotiations, instead of being multilateral, are either bilateral or plurilateral, for which offers and responses are being going on. Obviously, it appears that the developed world is not very keen as far as the pace of these negotiations are concerned. In the services sector, they are keen essentially on areas like financial services, retail being opened up. And there is a conscious go-slow as far as these areas of keen interest to India are concerned. So my first query to the Minister is, what is the position of negotiations as far as the services sector, particularly in these areas, is concerned? Secondly, sir, agriculture is of key interest to us for the reason that more than 60% of India is employed or even underemployed as far as agriculture is concerned. Now, the agricultural negotiations have virtually been stalemated, and today the key to the entire pace of movement in the WTO, that the manufacturing sector, the NAMA negotiations, the services negotiations are not moving because agriculture is stalemated. And the reason why agriculture is stalemated is that unless the subsidies are rationalized, some of them completely eliminated, some of them substantially reduced, there can't be a level playing field. We can't expect our subsistence farmer to compete with a highly subsidized farmer who gets almost $1 billion a day from the developed economies in the world towards his subsidization. His products are going to be much cheaper than ours and will obviously push us out of the market. Now, as far as the subsidies is concerned, the various proposals, the Minister in his statement has said that negotiating groups brought out a revised modality on 6 December 2008. Now, I have two fears as far as the blanks in these drafts are concerned. And my two questions in this area relate to these blanks. Firstly, sir, as far as the subsidies are concerned, even though there is a broad consensus building up that the export subsidies should be finally eliminated, with regard to the other form of subsidies, it's not only the green box subsidies which are going unregulated in the name of environment protection and livestock protection, even the amber box and the blue box subsidies, there is a lot of box shifting which is taking place in the various proposals. And the net consequence is going to be that the amount of money which goes into the pocket of the farmer in the developed countries substantially will not come down over the next decade or more. And if in the hope of this being somewhat altered because of the drafts and the actual money is not coming down, we open our markets to agriculture, the consequence will be an inflow of agricultural products from all over the world which our farmer cannot compete with. Even if we keep our tariffs high, sir, any surplus, if we have, will not be able to get into the global market, will be dumped into our own markets and therefore will depress our markets. So in either case, the subsidized agriculture, whether it enters our markets or not, is destructive of the interest of the Indian farmer. Therefore, what is the specific proposal which you have, and what is the kind of figures in relation to each of these areas of subsidies is the government of India thinking of putting across as far as our negotiation is concerned? Equally important, sir, is the second question on agriculture, which is, what is the proposal on the table to reduce the customs tariffs on various agricultural products as far as the developed and the developing countries are concerned? India, sir, has approximately about 692 odd tariff lines, unless the figure is now somewhat altered. Now, these changes are going to be brought about in the duty structures on the bound rates. Now, in case the figures we are now reading, particularly in the international media, of a figure of about reduction of approximately 30% as far as countries like India is concerned, how many of our tariff lines will our bound rates come down in comparison to our present applied rates? If many of them in the Doha round get protected, the real danger will then arise in the post-Doha round, that is the next round, where the figure, instead of 70-80 products, will probably enter 200 or 300 products. And India is an economy where even if in relation to 5 products, the farmer gets distressed by the inflow of foreign goods and his own goods, the pricing gets distressed, it's lakhs of farmers or millions of farmers in each tariff line who are going to be adversely affected. Lastly, sir, what is the state of negotiations as far as the NAMA is concerned, or is it completely stalemated and without any progress at all? Finally, sir, before I conclude, I have just one suggestion to give to the Honourable Minister. There have been in different areas of governance several illustrations. Mr. Singh referred to the climate change negotiations. I am not repeating our position on that, where we seem to be getting pressured by the developed world. Now, as far as trade is concerned, foreign policy and trade policy never mix together. You may be the best of friends with certain countries, but your trading interests are always at variance with them. Europe and the United States keep litigating against each other as far as the WTO is concerned. So my suggestion to the Minister would be that please keep the current close proximity and the foreign policy emanating out of that and the pressures emanating out of that away as far as India's trading policy is concerned.
Thank you. Shri.